All, welcome to the channel. I'm Dr. Shiba, Assistant Professor from Department of BCom CA, Sri Ramakrishna College of Arts and Science. Let's see the table creation in HTML in detail. Creating a table in HTML is always an easier way. The HTML not only allows the web authors to create pages with text and images and even sometimes graphics, but also arranges the data like text, images, links and other tables into rows and columns of cells and thus making it a table. The HTML tables are created using the table tag. Okay, as you can see on the screen, the table tag and other tags are actually highlighted. The tr tag is used to create table row and td tag is used to create data cells. The element under td are regular and left aligned by default. And if you want to change the alignment, you can use a lot of other attributes also that will be spoken in the next slide. The table border can be defined by number from least 1. Example, if we are giving table border is equal to 1. However, if one doesn't need a border, they can actually give it as just table border is equal to 0. Here is a small example for creating tables in HTML. As you can see on the screen, it starts with the table border and we have given as 1. So that means the table will have a very thin border. And we have given the first row TR and TD attribute as row 1 and column 1. And we have to always make sure that once you open an attribute, you have to close it. And here, if you want to create one more column, that is the second line. If you want to include one more detail, you can give it as column 2 and here we have closed the table. So this table will have one row and two columns. And again, we have included one more row and one more column and at last we have closed the table with the closing attribute. As you can see the output, it is clearly given that we have a beautiful border around the table and with all the details, the number of rows and number of columns we wanted in the program has actually been executed. Next, let's see how to give a heading for the table. A table heading can be defined using the tag th. This tag will be put to replace the td tag which is used to represent the actual data cell. And one can use the th element in any row. So if you want a column heading, you can use this th tag. Headings which are defined in the th tag are centered and bold by default. Since it is a heading, it should be in bold only. Let's see another illustration for the table heading. Here, as usual, we have started with the table border as 1. We have given the heading as name and salary, which is highlighted here, and it is given between the th tag. And the rest of the details, just like the before attributes, we have just included the name of 2 people and the salary of 2 people. And please don't forget to end the table with the closing attribute. As you can see on the output, the name and salary are given as the column heading and they are bold, they are highlighted and they are centered. And next, let's see the Colspan and Rowspan attributes. The Colspan attributes can be used if you want to merge 2 or more columns into a single column. And similarly, Rowspan attribute can be used if you want to merge 2 or more rows. In Microsoft Words, we can simply do with small operations, but since the HTML is used for web page designing, we have to use certain attributes to make it possible. Here are the examples of Colspan and Rowspan attributes. We have started the table with a normal table border and we have included 3 columns if you can see, and here we have included the row span is equal to 2. So we are combining the row 1 and cell 1 into cell 2 and cell 3. And here, if you see at the end, the Colspan is equal to 3. So we are converting the row 3 and cell 1 into one row. So if you see the output, you will be more clear in the next slide. As you can clearly see from the examples, the two rows, row 1 and cell 1, which used to be actually two rows, were actually merged into a single row, while the column, if you can see, row 3 and cell 1 was actually three columns, and they have actually combined into one single column. Next, let's see about table height and width in HTML. A table's width and height using HTML width and height attributes. A table's width or height can be specified in terms of pixels, which is usually used for computer languages, or in terms of percentage of available screen area. You can see the syntax on how to set a table row and width. And if you want the table border, as usual, we can give it as 1. And if you give it as more than 1 also, it will be a little bit thicker and it will be good for looking. And if you see here, the width of the table is set as 400 pixels and height as 150. Okay. The normal rows and columns are actually included into the table. Now let's see the output. Now if you see the output, we can clearly see that the pixels that we have already set for the table height and width have been implemented, and the table looks little bit better with lot of more space inside the table. Next, let's see about the table caption. The caption tag will serve as a title or explanation for the table, and it shows up at the top of the table. Syntax of the table caption, we can see it on the screen. It starts with the caption attribute, and whatever you want to give it as the table heading or the caption, you can give it between the two attributes, the opening and the closing attributes. Then you can start with inserting the number of rows and columns you want inside the web page, and you can close the table. You can see the output for the table caption. If you see above the table, just in the middle, whatever we have given, just given it as in the caption in the last program that we have written, it is actually clearly written. Now let's see what is nested tables. One can use one table inside another table. Not only tables can be almost all the tags inside the data tag. It starts with the TD tag. Since the nested tables are tables that are inside the other tables, if you see on the screen, first we have started with the border and we have started with the other border. And we have given just two headings, name and salary, and we have given the details for the row and column, their attributes. Now, if you see, there are two tables that we have closed. Once you see the output in the next slide, you will understand it better how the nested table look. As you can see from the output, around the border that we have already set, there is another table inside which the table we created with rows and columns are fed. And if you see the second example, you can clearly know that a table can contain one or two more tables inside them in the form of nested table, and HTML makes it possible. Thank you for listening.